Welcome back, everyone. Let's go ahead and do a comparison between the iPhone SE 2 and the iPhone 12 mini, 13 mini actually, and see which one you should go ahead and pick up. Now, I will leave both of these phones linked down in the description below. You can get them from there and you can help support the channel at the same time. Now, side by side, they are much different and much different price tags. $400 for this one, $699, technically $729 for the iPhone 13 mini. And you can definitely tell the iPhone SE 2 looks a little bit more outdated. 4.7-inch panel here, 5.4-inch panel here. Even though the notch is smaller, you can't even tell. But it is a much newer looking phone on the 13 mini than on the iPhone SE 2. Build quality wise, they're almost built exactly the same though, which is crazy. In terms of the thinness and thickness between the two, the iPhone SE 2 is actually much thinner. I wasn't expecting this, but it gives the impression that it's much thinner. Even at its thickest point, it may be actually still thinner than the iPhone 13 mini. And on the back, we do have glass backs on both, which look very, very good. So single camera setup on the iPhone SE 2. The iPhone 13 mini has that dual camera setup, and these sensors are massive, and they look very good on this type of iPhone. Now, in terms of the heaviness, they kind of feel the same. I think the 13 mini is a little bit heavier, but they're roughly about the same. There's not really that much else going around with them. They both have IP certification. They both have that kind of stuff, which is really cool. There's bigger differences between them, so I'll definitely get into them in a second. But one of the bigger differences is the longevity. The iPhone SE 2, even though it came out last year, it has a chipset from 2019, which is actually the Apple A13 Bionic, which is roughly the same thing. It's the exact same thing as the iPhone 11 series. So the iPhone SE 2 is going to still last for several more years, but it will be outbeaten by the iPhone 13 mini. This phone is going to outlast this phone on iOS, so for the long duration for the next year and next year of software, there's going to be a point where the iPhone 12 mini or the 13 mini is actually, still getting software, where the iPhone SE 2 has fully been done getting software, where this one is outdated. So keep that in mind. It's not happening anytime soon, but it could happen at some point. So it's not really that big of a deal, but that is something to keep in mind. They are both still supported with software, and they're both going to support you, and they're going to be supported with software for many more years to come. So in terms of that covers it up there. Now let's go and do a speed comparison between both of these phones. The iPhone SE 2, like I mentioned, has that Apple A13 Bionic chip inside of it with 3 GB of RAM. With the iPhone 13 mini, has that Apple A15 Bionic chip inside of it with 4 GB of RAM. So let's go and see which one is the faster one between both of these. Okay, there we go. All the apps are cleared out in the background, as you guys can see. So let's get into it. Let's do phone calls, 3, 2, 1. And roughly about the same thing. Let's do music, 3, 2. I guess I don't have it here. Let's do their app stores, 3, 2, 1. And there we go. We did get into a pop-up here, which is very annoying. Swiping through with this, you can kind of see roughly around the same thing, not a big difference. Getting into here, they're kind of about the same thing. And you can see how much more, I guess a width you're getting on the iPhone 13 mini. Podcast, 3, 2, 1. Get into a pop-up here, but it was much faster on the 13 mini than on the iPhone SE 2. Let's get into news, 3, 2, 1. And there we go. I don't know why this one was so much slower than this one, but I guess that's what you have to do. Camera, 3, 2, 1. Roughly about the same thing. Photos, 3, 2, 1. And about the same thing too. Pop-ups on both, which is not a big deal. Hopping out of this one, let's go and get into some of these third-party apps that we always can get into. Let's do Fruit Ninja, 3, 2, 1. And I think the iPhone 13 mini is definitely going to be the faster one here. And we do get into that pop-up way faster than on the iPhone SE 2. And we do get into, I don't know what that was. So let's go and hop out of this one. And I keep forgetting about the home button on the iPhone SE 2. Let's get into Facebook, 3, 2, 1. And definitely the iPhone 13 mini is faster. Twitter, 3, 2, 1. 13 mini again is the faster one. Stack, 3, 2, 1. And a little bit of a pop-up here. We'll kind of give this one a leeway because of that pop-up, but even then I still think it would have been faster on the iPhone 13. Let's do Snake versus Blocks, 3, 2, 1. And I don't know why this one didn't open, so we'll load this one up in the background for, the app RAM management and stuff. That's very weird, it didn't click open on here. Let's get into some speed comparison here, and we're probably going to be about the same thing. Actually, the 13 mini kind of glitched up there. Hopping out of this specific application, let's get into Thank You, 3, 2, 1. And again, I don't know why these ones don't want to click on here. It's very strange. So again, we'll load this one up in the background once more, and then we'll go ahead and get into it. This one took a while to load up here. Let's get into some of the, kind of gameplay. And again, it's going to be roughly around the same thing. Hopping out of this one, let's do Netflix, 3, 2, 1. and the iPhone 13 mini is faster. iPhone SE2 a little bit slower. Quizlet 3, 2, 1. 13 mini again is faster. SE2 a little bit slower. Dropbox, which we don't even have here, which is crazy. Let's go and do Temple Run 2, 3, 2, 1. And you can see the iPhone 13 mini again is the faster one. The iPhone SE2 a little bit slower. Again, nothing crazy, but it is something to kind of keep in mind. Hopping out of this specific application, we can kind of do Snapchat 3, 2, 1, but I think we kind of have an idea which one is the faster one, and I do think it is the iPhone 13 mini. This phone is a very good performing phone. It's done a great job, and I think for sure when it comes down to it, this is a better performing phone than the iPhone SE2, which is probably expected, but I'd probably tell you if you need to get a phone that's the best value, or at least for the best performance between these two, the iPhone 13 mini is the better option. Now let's go ahead and do a quick little camera comparison between these two phones. Now with the iPhone 13 mini, you are getting that dual camera setup. The iPhone SE2 had that single camera setup, 4K at 60 on the back. On the front, 4K at 60 on the iPhone 13 mini. The iPhone SE2 has only 1080p at 60. So a little bit of a better camera on the 13 mini for sure. But another big thing is look at the size difference of those sensors. You're getting a much bigger and better camera setup on the 13 mini than on the iPhone SE2. Now, in terms of the camera features and everything, they're actually fairly similar. You can kind of see, even with the viewfinder, it's almost exactly the same thing. Now, when you actually swipe through, you can see you have a little bit more of a feature set. So portrait mode on both, but when you swipe through, you actually do get cinematic video on the iPhone 13 mini. So that's a really cool feature. It's basically like portrait mode, but for video. And I really do like this feature. It's really awesome. The iPhone 13 is a much better camera setup than the iPhone SE2, but you still have a pretty good camera setup on the iPhone SE2 as well. Now with the iPhone SE2, this is a very solid camera setup. I've had very few things wrong with it, and even when I was doing my camera comparisons, it did a pretty good job. The main difference with this camera though is the single sensor. You have that dual camera setup on the 13 mini, we only have that single camera setup on the SE2. That is kind of an annoyance. I'm not that big of a fan of it, but it is still a really good sensor without a doubt, and I think for sure if you're doing videos and photos, this is still a very good sensor, and I'm really glad it has portrait mode as well. Now with the 13 mini, it's a little bit of a different situation. So not only do you have a really good camera for that wide angle lens, but when you zoom out, you also have a very solid, wide angle lens or ultra wide sensor. So this is another really awesome thing, and I'm actually really happy about it. You have the ability of zooming in a lot to your specific photo. It doesn't have a telephoto lens, but it's still very good. But that ultra wide sensor is really good. But you also have that cinematic mode option, which this is, another crazy little, feature that they put in. It blurs out your specific subject, and it does a really good job at it. So I think overall the iPhone SE2 is a great camera, but the iPhone 13 mini is probably the better camera when it comes down to it, without a doubt. So now we kind of make it to the end of this video, and to answer the question, which phone you should pick up, I definitely do think the iPhone SE2 is a good phone. It's not a tremendous phone by the, for the value or anything, but it's a good phone for the value. For $400, brand new device, you're getting wireless charging, pretty good camera setup, tremendous build quality, pretty okay display, old design for sure. This is not going to wow anybody. The performance is good, and that's really about it. I like this phone, but I think it is overpriced at that $400 price tag. The iPhone 13 mini, on the other hand, I think it's a good priced phone, but even then it's like still on the, kind of opposite side. It's like a great looking phone and everything like that. But for $729, you might as well pick up an iPhone 13 or an iPhone 13 Pro. Better yet, you should go buy an iPhone 12 mini. The jump from a 12 mini to a 13 mini, you're getting battery life. That's about it. Between these two phones, the battery life is better here. And, I would recommend you, if you want to save some money, get a 12 mini. That's like the middle point of these two. But the 13 mini is a great phone as well. Has a lot of character, has a lot of capability, beautiful display, smaller notch than before, tremendous build quality, MagSafe with wireless charging, tremendous camera on the back with the ultra wide sensor, great performance. This phone's going to last a long time too. It's really like a great phone overall. But if you want to save some money, get the SE2, but I'd probably recommend getting a 12 mini. That's like a perfect middle point of both of these devices. So that's pretty much it. If you guys have any other questions or anything like that, let me know in the comment section below. Hit the like button, that would mean so much, but definitely hit that subscribe button. More importantly than everything else, I love every single one of you guys. Hopefully I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace out till then.